Hardly much has changed since the two protagonists Salva Kiir and Riek Machar signed a peace deal in 2015.
I'm the president of South Sudan, and I must always remain in that position as the president, the leader of that country.
By me signing today this agreement, I'm sending the signal that this conflict must be ended peacefully.
I think that his obstacle is only Dinka. And he put it wrongly that the Dinka are obstacle and the Dinka are cowards. And I will make them to understand. And if he have defeated the tribe he mentioned, then the rest will be followers. That is an assumption.
For a country ripped apart by a protracted conflict that has killed thousands and left millions huddled in IDP camps, the signing of a peace deal recently by warring factions brings relief. Yet many South Sudan citizens who have been ruled by the barrel of the gun would be reluctant to embrace this optimism.
In fact, we are tired of this war. I hope our politicians should bring peace so that our business can go on well.
And I wish all people who escaped the war, they're feeling it the same because the peace has come.
On July 8, 2016, a shooting war broke out at the presidential palace in Juba, the capital of South Sudan. Riek Machar, who was the then vice president, later escaped on foot after all his guards were gunned down at the presidential palace. Yet he still believes that he can form a government of a national unity with his adversary Kiir.
What he had to do first is to put the interest of the nation and the interest of the citizens of the Republic of South Sudan, despite whatever differences may be existing.
As the face of the second largest tribe, observers view Machar as a tribal warlord, anointed by his Nuer kinsmen as Kiir is to the Dinka. As part of the deal, Kiir will remain president and Machar will return to the country as the vice president, one of the 5 vice presidents. There will be an 8 pre-transnational period led by Kiir, followed by a 3-year transitional period. The government will include 20 ministers from Kiir's party, 9 from Machar's, and 6 from other groups, reads the agreement. With Kiir at the top, highly placed sources in Juba revealed that his implacable foe, Dr. Riek Machar, would be first vice president and head of governance cluster. Dr. James Waniga, the face of Equatorial States, takes the slot of second vice president. Riek's former ally in SPLM-IO, General Taban Dengai, takes third vice presidency. Dr. Ram Akol or Joseph Bakosoro takes the fourth vice presidency, and Rebecca Garang de Mabio takes the 5th presidency.
Because it is our right to mismanage ourselves or to manage ourselves. It is all our rights.
Taban Deng, Lama Akol have previously been part of the rebel ranks fighting Kiir's government. It's not clear yet how Taban Deng, who has been critical of his former ally Machar, would work together. In August 2015, Bakosoro, who is the Western Equatorial governor, was dismissed by Kiir and briefly detained in Juba. At the time there was unrest in Mudri, Maridi and Yombio, which are the state he presided over. He was later freed and formed a political pressure group demanding for reforms in South Sudan. A leader who at one time rallied vigilante groups to fight the LRA, his appointment will be seen as an attempt to placate the Equatorial people and undercut support to General Thomas Siriro, a former Deputy General Chief of Staff of the SPLA who hails from the Equatorial Province. However, sources told NTV that the wife of the late charismatic SPLA leader, Dr. John Garang, who represents the constituency of the former detainees, is reluctant to accept this position. Rebecca Garang, who has previously served in Kiir's cabinet, has in the past called the incumbent to resign. This group of former detainees, popularly known by its derogatory name Garang Boys, is led by former SPLA Secretary General Pagan Amun and former SPLA General Chief of Staff General Oyai Deng and former Foreign Affairs Minister Deng Alor. it flatly rejected a new peace agreement, with a number of rebellions spread across volatile pockets of the country. Former Chief of General Staff General Paul Malong and former Deputy Chief of General Staff Thomas Kiriro pose a threat to the stability of the country. Kiriro argued that the recent peace agreement is elitist and out of touch with the common man. The influential Troika alliance led by the US, Britain and Norway also weighed in, saying, given their past leadership failures, South Sudan leaders will need to behave differently and demonstrate commitment to peace and good governance.
This deal is different and was appealing to all parties in the conflict because it met some of the basic expectations that they wanted to see in a deal. However, this deal is not complete. It doesn't solve all the problems that are there, in particular issues about revenue sharing, ambiguous issues about security sector reform and security arrangements in the capital, Juba. These are things that are potentially flashpoints that could unravel the peace agreement, and it behooves the parties in the conflict to actually work very hard to ensure that there are no hiccups that could unravel this peace deal.
But even before the ink dries on this agreement, fears are abounding that there is no glue that will hold this unity government together, which creates an imperial presidency under President Kiir.
How to create a viable and accountable structure of power in South Sudan. More than any single event, it is 1991 that has shaped the collective psyche of the present generation of South Sudanese. It is noteworthy that this source of national trauma does not originate from the struggle against Khartoum, but from the failure to handle internal conflicts within SPLA. 1991 was not resolved. It was deferred. A member of the Caucus of Women urged the Commission to acknowledge the meaning of the 1991 Boer massacre. Quote, a big number of Dinka were killed. There was no accountability. Efforts for reconciliation, but no truth. The wound is still there in the hearts of many Dinka. The violence now is for me a continuation of the 1991 massacre.
Since 91 and 2013, 2016, all these are problems caused by Dr. Riek Machar to the people of South Sudan. So the fact that President Salva Kiir is saying yes for peace, but not to work with Riek Machar again is a statement of fact, because we don't want to have another J1. We don't want to have another fight. And the people of South Sudan now, and Juba in particular, are actually scared. And they are saying if Riek Machar comes back to Juba again, we are deserting Juba. We don't want Juba to be deserted.
How can the neighboring state ensure that this deal is not violated like the two previous deals, which could plunge the South Sudan into a fresh cycle of violence? Many, including Uganda, which helped birth this deal, will be watching closely as Khartoum, a historical rival, seem to have gained an upper hand in fostering the deal. With an economy in a tailspin, President Bashir sent his intelligence chief Saragosh to Juba to enforce the peace deal, with Khartoum opening up the humanitarian border to allow relief items reach those in dire need in the south. Bashir's regime is no longer viewed with suspicion.
It has destroyed our economy and left our country and people divided more than ever before.
The agreement has been signed in an atmosphere that was not, intimidated or whatever it has. So it will hold. Agreement will hold.
The devil sometimes is embedded in the implementation. If there is no political will, even if we sign beautiful agreements and they are not implemented, we would have done nothing.
Khartoum hopes that it will find an export market for its goods, as well as continue seeking a share of the lucrative oil trade in the south disrupted by war, especially in Maraka. Previously, South Sudan depended on revenues from oil fields, which accounts for as much as 99% of the country's export earnings. But with the frequenting global prices and looting, the coffers were emptied by the political elite. To stave off financial ruin, the government began printing more money, sending the country into hyperinflation, which reached 800% in 2016. Yet, Only peace can resolve the paradox of South Sudan, which is endowed with immense natural resources. Jingo Francis, NTV.